So I first noticed it probably in my mid 30s, and it's kind of funny. I didn't notice it on my head. I just noticed that I wake up in the morning and there's extra hair like on my pillow. And when you see that for like a couple weeks and months, then you start to say, okay, it's more than usual. I'm starting to lose hair.
Hmm.
So it wasn't something that was visible, looking in the mirror, but it was something I was starting to get like signals of.
How long was it before you took that next step then?
How I did what probably a lot of people do is I went just started picking up the Rogaine products at the pharmacy or whatever at the drugstore, and I was like, okay, I'll do whatever's easiest and just kind of address this. I've seen commercials. This should work.
Are you still using the Rogaine now?
No.
So what do you do for kind of a prevention or routine maintenance?
Sure. So since visiting Dr. Anderson, he pretty much gave me the formula, and it's I use a laser cap, I use the topical solution that his office provides, and then I take hair vitamins. That coupled with a procedure, things worked out well.
What made you cross the threshold from thinking about the surgery to actually taking the step to do it?
But that one was pretty simple. So I was at the point of terms of hair loss where in my mind I was like, I need to just shave my head. Like, I'm just going to graduate to that next step. I obviously got the genes that I inherited that I'm not going to have a great hair later in my life. And so I was pretty much set. I'm like, okay, I can get it cut once or two more times. And after that, it's just getting shaved off. And I was good with that. So I actually went in to see the lady that cuts my hair and told her that. And I said, hey, look, this is probably the last cut, or maybe we'll do one more and then I'm just shaving this all off. Just giving you the heads up. We have a great relationship. And she was very adamant about saying, absolutely not. Let me tell you, I had another client that I was cutting his hair for years. He started to lose his hair. He cared a lot more about his hair than you do, Dan. And he went out and got a hair procedure done. And the results are phenomenal. I was like, okay, whatever. And she's like, no, you have to look into it. So I went home that day and told my wife about it. And she said, hey, lady at the place that cuts my hair said I should really look into this. My wife was super supportive. Said, I'd love for you to see if you can get your hair back or just to have it, restored in some way. And I was like, okay, I'll do a little bit of homework. And I started the research. And that's pretty much what you're going to do. Because up until that point, I just wasn't really aware of the procedure. I mean, you maybe see commercials or hear about it, but I just don't think it's talked about enough. I just think people aren't really aware, and guys in particular, that hair restoration's pretty accessible and the outcomes are great. People just don't talk about it. And because it's not talked about, you don't think of when you start to see the hair loss, that's what I should go do. But that's actually what most people should go do.
What were your criteria for choosing hair restoration surgeon?
Okay, so since this is my second one, it was pretty easy to pick somebody that gave me great results the first time, Dr. Anderson. But when I was first looking at doing a hair restoration procedure, I didn't have a big list of criteria, and I didn't really know what to look for per se anyways. But I knew that I wanted to go to somebody that had a good reputation, that had credibility in the space, that had basically the reps under their belt to say, okay, this person's proven, they've been successful time and time again. That's where I was going to spend my time and my resources. And that's what led me to Dr. Anderson.
How was your first consultation?
Well, I guess I can describe it. It was encouraging in the sense that they said, okay, you're a candidate. But coming into it, it was like, what's this going to be like? And it's pretty much what you imagine, I guess. You walk in, Dr. Anderson and his team, they comb back your hair, start taking a look at it, do a little bit of analysis and assessment and say, okay, we understand what's going on here. We understand, your profile. And then they say, okay, here's the plan. First thing you got to do is focus on prevention or, keep what you have. And that's where things like the laser cap, things like the topical solution, things like vitamins come into play, maybe PRP. And then second piece is like, okay, this is, based on where you're at, this progression of hair loss, this is the type of procedure we recommend. And then it's basically balls in your court to decide, okay, yeah, I'm going to go for it or not. And if so, what?
Was there anything that surprised you about the experience? Anything you read online that didn't happen, or something that you didn't read online that did happen?
So, and you're referring to after the procedure or
Yeah, before it, or anything about the whole transplant experience.
No, I pretty much went in with kind of open or say, okay, however this is going to work. First of all, I'm not the first guy that's ever had hair loss. And second, I'm not going to be the first person that's had a hair restoration procedure. So I know that's going to be fine, whatever, there may be some bumps in the road, but I was pretty open to saying, okay, look, I'm going to start the hair loss prevention steps, follow those. I think one thing that's important, and I think people across the medical profession will tell you, is like, half of it's on the patient too, to actually do what they're told. And, if hair restoration doctor is going to tell you, use a laser cap, use this topical solution, and take the vitamins, then you should probably do it. So it's pretty straightforward. I'm good with that. I know some people say, oh, you get lazy. Oh, I don't want to do what doctors say, but I don't know. It's just kind of like, all right, if you're going to follow the playbook that's kind of been proven and worked, then do that, do the procedure, and then same thing with the aftercare. And the results, I'm happy with.
Based on your first transplant experience, what was the initial healing process like? Like right after surgery, but then 6 months and beyond that.
Right. So yeah, so the procedure day happens. Okay, that's the day you get home, and I think there's probably three things that jump out. The first is the swelling. You just had 1,000 hair follicles or whatever they are, like transplanted, replanted in from your head back into your head. You're gonna have swelling. And so for the first 24, 48 hours, you notice the swelling. So you're not gonna look good on camera. You're not gonna look good in the mirror. You just kind of roll with it. I think, did I know to expect that? Not really, but that's what happens. I think the second thing is the incision. It's an incision. It's a cut. And so as long as you kind of follow the rules, put the antibacterial ointment on it, take care of it, the body will do its thing, heals up. 6 to 8 days later, that's pretty much taken care of. It's there, the scars to heal, but yeah, it's an incision, just kind of take care of it. And then the third piece right after the procedure is probably, I don't know what day it is, but it's in like the post-op instructions, but it's day 3 or 4 or whatever. But you have to start washing your hair using some baby shampoo in a cup. And, you're a little paranoid because you just went through this whole procedure and you don't want to disrupt anything that they did. But, by that point, the hairs have kind of have kind of settled in. Things have started to heal. You've got maybe some little scabs or scarring happening, but it's fine. You go through it, follow the instructions, you do this little hair washing technique for a week or 2, and you're fine. And that's out the gate. I think at the 6 weeks, 6 months, 6-week mark, you kind of hear about, okay, you might be taking a shower and you start to see little hairs hitting the floor, and that's fine because those aren't the ones that you're after. That's pretty much what they tell you. It's more about having that root planted inside the scalp that's going to produce the hair that you're looking for in terms of like growing and getting back that hair coverage on top. And then at 6 months is kind of really when I started to see results, which I thought was fast. And I think, everybody's a little bit different on a timeline and across the spectrum. But, at the 6-month mark, you can start to see new hairs coming out that weren't there before. And that's encouraging. And then it's just, you got to ride it for the next 12 months. And that's when you kind of get the full effect.
So the last one then is, what advice would you offer to people who are considering a hair transplant?
Advice. I think maybe it's just be decisive about it. And I think it's okay. That's part of the process of recognizing if the hair loss is happening, okay, you can always hold on to hope. Hey, I'm doing a couple things here that's going to prevent it, or it's going to stop at a certain point. And that may be true, but, you have to cross the line at some point and say, okay, either I'm going to change the game here and go see a professional, get the insight and advice that, you kind of need. And you can still decide not to do a procedure at that point. But then if it's clear that that's probably what is necessary, then just go for it. Carve out the time on the calendar, fence it off, get it on the schedule, do it. You're going to go through it. The hair's not going to come knock on your front door saying, I'm here. You got to go get it. But if you do, then it can be worth it.